Hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to our Passover dinner. We've got the table set and we're all ready to go.
We pretend you're all here.
Yeah, we're really we're pretending that you're at the table with us.
Yeah, in spirit.
Yeah. And you can see that we've got our Exodus scene set. We've got the waves, the froth on the top of the waves. We've got Moses holding out his staff and all the Israelites walking through. So we're here to remember what God did when he brought his people out of the land of Egypt. And we have our Seder plate here, and the Seder plate helps us tell the story. And if you've got the PowerPoint, if you've looked at that, if you've printed anything off, you will know, but we actually use the plate as we go through, so we explain it. So, if you've printed off booklets, you might want, we're using the Passover booklet from the 30-minute Seder.
Yeah.
This is our tradition. It's going to look back to front on the screen. We've been using this for many years, haven't we, Dad?
Yeah, we have, yeah. It's a good book. Handy in your hand. Tells the story.
And I was very grateful to get permission to send it out on a PowerPoint slide for you today. So, Passover, it's all the elements of an exciting story. Slavery and oppression followed by freedom and redemption with hope for the future. That's probably why many people name Passover as their favourite Jewish holiday. And we celebrate it as Christians who know the Messiah, Jesus. And while the Haggadah is designed to educate about the past, it's also written to help us appreciate what we have today. So, and in Jesus we believe that he is the fulfillment of the promises to Abraham, and so we can appreciate that in even this feast. So it encourages dialogue with our children by asking questions and giving examples and telling stories, and we're really reenacting it, and we do this to remember each year. It's a story that has a sad beginning but a very happy ending. So on the Seder plate, we use the Seder plate to reflect and to tell the story. So, and we always remember those less fortunate than ourselves at this time. And in that spirit, we pray that no stranger will be alone on Seder night. So I think the Jewish Passover's already happened, but we always celebrate Passover on Maundy Thursday. And we remember how our ancestors in the faith were once slaves to Pharaoh, but they were freed by the mighty hand of God. So in preparation for the Seder, Jewish households, they go around and they get rid of all their yeast.
Chametz.
All the chametz, yeah. So chametz removal can be fun. So what happens is some people sell their chametz to their goyim neighbours. They don't actually get rid of it. A lot of people actually get rid of it. And what will happen is the night before the Seder, they check the house. So the most senior member of the house might drop a few crumbs here and there. And the kids will go around and they'll hunt for the crumbs because it all has to be free of chametz. So you can give it away or you can throw it away, but your house has to be free of it. And this removal of the chametz is preceded by the following prayer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who makes us holy with your mitzvah. Well, that's the law, isn't it? But we know that in Christianity we're made holy by the death of Jesus. So we're using a Jewish feast here, but we believe it's been fulfilled in Jesus. So the removal of the chametz at the Seder, each person should look under the plate and remove or pretend to remove the hametz. So we're searching for it. The little crumbs, we're getting rid of it.
Not here.
None there.
Okay.
And immediately following the search, this prayer is said. Any hametz which is in my possession that I did or did not see, which I did or did not remove, shall be nullified and be ownerless as the dust of the earth. I don't own it. If there's a crumb left, I don't own it. I disown it. So I am free of all yeast. And, you know what we've got? The candle.
Oh, that's all right. Okay.
So normally a candle is lit, and it's our tradition that we ask the most senior, oldest mother in the group to light the candle, and then all the mothers say a prayer when the candle's lit. So I'll just pretend I'm lighting the candle because we forgot the candle, and I'll just say this prayer. Well, I've knocked Moses over. Moses there with his little baton. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who makes us holy, who commanded us to light a candle, the festival candle. So I'm pretending to light my candle. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who gave us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this season of joy. We had a similar prayer this morning. You may remember it when we did morning prayer this morning. We used the Holy Week at Home book, and that was a similar prayer there. And then we come to the elements of the Seder, the matzah bread. I've printed off my matzah, and it's usually on this plate. I don't have any matzah. I'm using flat bread tonight to eat. But what happens is we have our matzah and we put it in our matzah cover, and we do something with it later. We have our bitter herbs, which we have lettuce, and we have our carousette, which is an apple and walnut paste, and this is our carousette here, this one. We have our parsley, which is a symbol of new life, parsley. And we have a bowl of water over here and here, that's salt water. And the salt water reminds us of the bitterness of slavery, the saltiness, the tears, the hard work. The bitter herbs remind us of the hard work of the slaves when they had to make the same amount of bricks without the straw. And we have the hard-boiled egg here, and it represents a second sacrifice which was offered on the eve of Passover at the temple, but the egg is quite popular as it serves as a symbol of mourning and is used as a reminder of our sadness caused by the destruction of the Holy Temple. The round shape reminds us of the circle of life. So the vegetables that's other than the bitter herb is the parsley that we use. And since Passover is also an agricultural festival celebrated by our ancestors, we celebrate with the parsley for the arrival of spring. And we dip that parsley into the salt water and we eat it. So that's we also have a horseradish here. Horseradish. And it's really fun to mix the horseradish and the sweet paste, the harazette, which has got the cinnamon, the apple, the walnuts, and the wine, and some sugar. We're sugarless, but and you mix the bitterness of the memory of the slavery, and you mix it with the sweet paste of the deliverance. And the charizet also is symbolic of the mortar that was between the bricks when they were building.
Yeah.
And then we have wine. That's very important. In the Seder, we have 4 cups of wine. It's traditional that, there's the wine. It's traditional that in Jewish families, they drink the whole of the cup, the whole of the 4 cups. So we're drinking cranberry juice because we're teetotalers. But the 4 cups symbolise these 4 statements in the book of Exodus. I will bring you out of Egypt. I will deliver you from bondage. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm, and I will take you to me for a people. So it's traditional that each person's cup be filled by the person sitting next to them. Dave's sitting next to me. He's going to serve me tonight. Thank you. It's customary to drink the 4 cups, but as a whole, but we're not going to do that. We're going to sip our cups. So we filled our first cup, and we're on page 8, if you're following along in your books. I'm going to say this prayer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who has chosen us from all nations, raised us above all tongues, and made us holy. And you, Adonai, our God, have lovingly given us the Sabbath and the festivals, for rejoicing and holidays and seasons for gladness, and this festival of Matzah, the season of our freedom, a holy gathering in remembrance of the exodus from Egypt. For you have chosen and made us holy. Blessed are you, Adonai, who makes holy the Shabbat and Israel and the festive seasons. Blessed are you, Adonai, God, our God, creator of the universe, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this season. And now we drink the cup.
Cheers.
Cheers. And now we come to the washing of the hands. I'm going to put my cup on the other side. So in this day and age, it's the washing of the hands all day long with the coronavirus. But we wash our hands because who can see God? Only those with clean hands and a pure heart. So I'm washing my hands symbolically for everyone. Oh, now Dave's going to wash his hands.
I'll do mine too.
That's good.
Yes.
That's great. There's only 2 of us. Sometimes we've had over 90 people celebrating, different churches celebrating with us. We're going to remove this now because we're short on space.
We've washed our hands.
We've washed our hands. We've had our wonderful, beautiful cloth there, and we're putting that to one side. And now we come to the dipping of the vegetables. So this is like an appetizer in our feast. Everyone takes a vegetable other than the marrow, which the marrow is the bitter herbs. And so we're going to use parsley, and we're going to dip it into the salt water. And as I explained before, you've got parsley. I've got parsley here. So that's your parsley. I've got salt water. You've got salt water there, but you can use mine. You don't need to.
Sure. Thank you.
So let's just dip our parsley in. So we've got this symbol of agriculture and spring, and we're dipping it into the memory of the salty tears, and we're combining it. Delicious.
Nice. Beautiful. I have some more.
Yeah, I'll have some more. The salt and the parsley is really nice.
Say that prayer.
And then we say a prayer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the earth. I'll give you a turn in a minute.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm very happy.
You're happy.
Very happy here.
Now we come to the breaking of the matzah and the creation of the afikomen. Afikomen just means dessert. Okay, so that's what it means. But it's an amazing, amazing tradition embedded in the Passover that every year we use the matzah, and it comes in threes. And you'll see on my cloth, I don't know if you, hopefully you can see, there's 3 matzahs here. They come in threes. On our book, there's 3 matzahs here. And on our plate, we've got 3 matzahs here. And what we do is we put the matzahs in the 3-pocket bag. We've got a matzah bag. So we've got 1, 2, 3 pockets in our beautiful bag. And we take the matzah, we take the middle one out. And we break it. Now this is just paper because I don't have matzah this year. But I'm going to symbolically break it in half. I'm going to rip it in half. Okay, look. We're going to put 1/2 of it back in our bag in the middle section. And this half, which we've broken off, we're putting in our afikomen bag. This is a special bag that we use. We put the middle matzah in it, and then we hide it.
I'll go hide it.
Yeah, you go hide it. We hide it. Okay, so it's hidden. So we have our 2 matzah in here, the top one, the bottom one, and in the middle we've only got 1/2 of matzah, and 1/2 of it is hidden. It's broken. And we get to that later.
We'll come to that, back to that.
Yeah, yes. We come back to that. That's really exciting when we come back to that.
Yeah.
So, when we break that matzah, which I had to tear, we say, "In haste did we go out of Egypt." We hide the matzah. Either the kids can hide it or an adult can hide it. You can reverse it however you want to do it. If the kids hide it, the adult has to find it. The kids can say they're hot or cold. If the adult hides it, then the kids have to find it. And if the kids find it, you usually have to give them a prize. So then we come to the Magid, and that's the story of Passover. Okay, so the broken matzah is lifted for all to see. The matzah is a symbol of the affliction of poverty. The story of Passover tells us about the hardships we suffered, that our ancestors had to endure. It reminds us of those who are in need today, so we say, whoever is hungry, come, share our food and celebrate Passover. To those who are poor and oppressed, we pray for them and hope that the coming year will bring a better life for all. So there's a shalom element in this.
Yeah.
We're remembering and we're hoping for the best for everyone. And now we come to the 4 questions. But we are filling symbolically our cups again. So if you've got cups at home, just fill them a little bit. So remember we said that we tell the story to our children and we encourage them to ask questions. There's 4 questions always asked by the youngest child every year at Passover.
Can I be the youngest child?
You can be the youngest child.
All right, I'll have a question for you. Why is this night different from all other nights?
In what way do you find this night different from all other nights?
In 4 ways do I find this night different. On all other nights we may eat chametz and matzah, but on this night only matzah.
That's right, no hametz.
No chametz. On all other nights we eat many vegetables, but on this night only maror. On all other nights we don't dip even once, but on this night we dip twice. On all other nights we eat sitting up or reclining, but on this night we all recline.
We all recline.
Yeah.
So, answering the 4 questions. The 4 questions are in fact not 4 questions at all. They are 4 statements that clearly clarify the main question of the Seder. Why is this night different from all other nights? This night is different from all other nights because on this night we tell the story of Passover as inscribed in the book of Exodus. This night is also different because we participate in rituals that have been observed at Passover Seders for centuries and centuries by our Jewish ancestors. We remind ourselves every year at this time that we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and God took us out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. As we participate in the rituals of Seder, we should not only make sure the story of Passover is told and the significance of each component of the Seder is explained, but we should also engage with children in the proceedings, and that's why we ask the 4 questions. We talk about the 4 different types of children, okay, because we need to know our children. There's a wise child. The wise or studious child likes to study and analyse the details. Give this child the tools to discover the meaning of Passover on their own and explain to them why it's important to retell the story. Then there's a wicked child. The wicked child doesn't want anything to do with it.
Naughty is a better word.
Yeah.
Naughty.
Naughty child. Okay, rebellious child probably wants little to do with the Passover. Or they might think, what's this got to do with me? But when we explain the big story, they can find their part in it. And then there's the child who is unsophisticated. It says in our book, simple child, it's not really a nice word, but it's a child who is easily overwhelmed. So we might help them in a different way. And this is why we set this up, because we can show a visual, because some children won't be able to understand all the words we're saying. So, but they can see and understand through a picture, and they don't have to even be literate. So we have to take into account people, even with intellectual disabilities. We've had Luke at the Seder, and he has said, he's had the part of Pharaoh one year, and we had a yes button and a no button, and he hit the button, no, I won't let you go. So he was in part of the Seder, so that was great. And there's also the child that's too young to ask. So we have to think about our children, how to teach them the story of Passover. So now we come to the story of Passover. We have to lift our wine glasses up, it says here.
We lift them up.
We lift them up. We don't drink them. We just lift them up in honour of the story that's just going to be told.
And we say,
throughout the ages we have endured, for not only has one risen against us to annihilate us, but in every generation they rise against us to annihilate us. But Adonai, the Holy One of Blessing, rescues us from their hand. Okay, and we'll cover our matzah again now. We've had it out, cover it up. So now we're going to read the story and we'll just share it.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll read down to here if you read this page here.
All right.
Okay. Let my people go. We weren't always slaves in Egypt. We became slaves. And the story of how we became slaves to the Pharaoh of Egypt and ultimately how we were freed is really the basis of the story of Passover. It's a part of history that belongs to all of us. By telling this story year after year, we're ensuring that we'll never forget our oppression or our freedom. As with most of religious history, the story has been passed on from generation to generation, and tonight, especially if there are children present, you're perpetuating an important ritual. We really believe it's important, the Passover. Many years ago in the land of Egypt, Joseph, the son of Jacob and Rachel, was sold into slavery by his brothers. Joseph was skilled and intelligent and soon became an official in the court of the Egyptian Pharaoh. Joseph could interpret dreams, which he sometimes used to predict the future. He offered the Pharaoh his prediction of an upcoming famine, which the Pharaoh needed and heeded. Because Joseph's timely advice saved the land from a great famine, Pharaoh invited them to stay when Joseph's family came to Egypt, searching for food. They lived in peace for many years and became known as the Israelites.
Years later, a new Pharaoh came to rule. He did not remember Joseph and all he had done for the Egyptians. He saw that the Israelite population was growing rapidly and feared that in a war they might side with the enemy and become a danger to Egypt. To remove this problem of the Israelites, Pharaoh enslaved them. He forced them to work hard, building his cities and palaces. Baking bricks and carrying stones in the desert heat, they knew neither peace nor rest, only misery and pain. To limit their population, Pharaoh decreed, "Every baby born to an Israelite woman shall be drowned in the river." In an effort to save their baby, Amram and Jochebed, a Jewish slave couple, hid him in a basket on the riverbank. When Pharaoh's daughter, the princess, came down to the river to bathe, she found the baby and decided to take him home to the palace. The princess named the baby Moses, which means brought out of the water. Because she needed a nurse to feed and care for the baby, the princess looked for a Jewish nurse. Jochebed's daughter Miriam, who was hiding by the river watching, came out and told the princess that she knew of a nurse. She ran home and brought Jochebed back to the princess, not revealing that she was really Moses' mother. Jochebed became Moses' nurse and was able to care for him throughout his childhood. Moses, being the adopted son of the princess, would have lived a rich life in the Pharaoh's palace, but he could not bear to see his people suffer as slaves. One day he came upon an Egyptian taskmaster who was beating an Israelite slave. In a fit of rage, Moses beat the Egyptian to death. His crime soon became known, and Moses was forced to leave his homeland and flee into the desert. Wandering around the desert, he came upon a family of shepherds in the land of Midian. He was taken in and became a shepherd himself. One day, while tending to his sheep, Moses came upon a bush that was on fire. Although it was burning, it was not being consumed. He heard God's voice coming from the bush, telling Moses to go back to Egypt and free his people from slavery and lead them out of Egypt. Because Moses was merely a shepherd, he asked God, "How may I accomplish this great task? I am but a lonely shepherd, and I am of impaired speech." God replied, "Go forth to Egypt with your wooden staff. I will be by your side, and the Pharaoh will be forced to free your people."
We come now to the 10 plagues. Moses returned to Egypt and went to see Pharaoh with his brother Aaron as his spokesperson. "Let my people go," Moses demanded, but Pharaoh had a hardened heart and refused. Through Moses, God brought forth 10 plagues on the people of Egypt. The plagues at first amused the Pharaoh, but soon frightened him. The Pharaoh promised to free the slaves several times, but God hardened the Pharaoh's heart many times, and each time he agreed to free the Israelite slaves, Pharaoh went back on his word. After the 9th plague, God said to Moses, I will bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Toward midnight I will go forth among the Egyptians, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne to the firstborn of the slave girl who is behind the millstones, and all the firstborn of the cattle. And there shall be a loud cry in all the land of Egypt, such as has never been or ever will be again. God then instructed Moses to tell his people to take a lamb from among their flocks and sacrifice it at twilight, taking some of the blood to paint a mark on the 2 doorposts and the lintel of their homes. Moses was further instructed by God to have his people roast the lamb over a fire and eat it with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs that same night. At midnight God brought forth the 10th and most devastating plague, the killing of the firstborn. In every Egyptian household, the firstborn child suddenly took ill and died. But the plague passed over the homes of the Israelite slaves. It was then that the Pharaoh finally agreed to free the Israelites. Now, while we celebrate the freeing of the Israelites from slavery, God has instructed us to take no pleasure in the suffering of the Egyptians. To commemorate their suffering, each person dips their little finger into their wine and places a drop on their plate as we recite the 10 plagues that God brought down upon the Egyptians. So we're going to do this
that
now.
Yes.
The little finger, which is really hard to get in the glass. I'm going to change fingers.
Oh, yes, so, yeah.
Oh, maybe if you tip it. Yeah, okay. So we're going to say now.
Blood. Frogs. Lice. Wild beasts. Cattle plague. Boils. Hail. Locusts. Darkness. Killing of the firstborn.
Moses did not trust the Pharaoh. There's our little page. He told his people to quickly pack whatever they could carry, and Moses led them out of Egypt into the desert. With no time to bake their bread, the people carried their kneading bowls and their dough wrapped in cloaks upon their shoulders. Once free and in the desert, they baked the dough on the hot rocks into matzah. But once again the Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his soldiers to capture the Israelites. As Pharaoh's army caught up with the Israelites at the Red Sea, God told Moses to hold up his wooden staff. Suddenly a huge wind came up, and the Red Sea parted, allowing all the freed slaves to pass. Once all of the Israelites were safely across, Moses again held up his staff, and the waters closed in upon Pharaoh's soldiers, killing all of them. And finally the Israelites were truly free. Celebrating the freedom of the Israelites, we say the Dayenu on page 20, and let's say alternately.
Okay. This, incidentally, the Dayenu, every single thing that God does, step by step, even if he did a tenth of what he did do, was a gift of grace.
Yeah.
And I think the Israelites were to realise that, understand that.
Yeah. Had God brought us out of Egypt but not executed judgment against the Egyptians, it would have been enough.
Had God executed judgment against them but not upon their gods, it would have been enough.
Had God executed judgments against their gods but not slain their firstborn, it would have been enough.
Had God slain their firstborn, but not given us their wealth, it would have been enough.
Had God given us their wealth, but not split the sea for us, it would have been enough.
Had God split the sea for us, but not led us through it on dry land, it would have been enough.
Had God led us through it on dry land, but not drowned our oppressors in it, it would have been enough.
Had God drowned our oppressors in it, but not provided for our needs in the desert for 40 years, it would have been enough.
Had God provided for our needs in the desert for 40 years, but not fed us the manna, it would have been enough.
Had God fed us the manna, but not given us the Sabbath, it would have been enough.
Had God given us the Sabbath, but not brought us to Mount Sinai, it would have been enough.
Had God brought us to Mount Sinai, but not given us the Torah, it would have been enough.
Had God given us the Torah, but not brought us into the land of Israel, it would have been enough. And now we say together the prayer, Thank you, God, for all the favours you have bestowed on us. You led us out of Egypt, slavery and oppression. You brought the plagues against the Egyptians, slew their firstborn, and brought us their wealth. You split open the Red Sea, and drowned our oppressors. Thank you for taking care of us in the desert for 40 years. You fed us manna, gave us the Sabbath, then brought us to Mount Sinai to give us the Torah and your commandments. Thank you, O God, for bringing us to the land of Israel, making us a great nation. Okay, we'll raise our glass of wine and we recite the following on the top of page 22. We join together to glorify and bless God for bringing us out of slavery and bondage, for granting us our freedom, and for turning our sorrow into joy. We give thanks to God for helping us reach this night, so that we may carry out the rituals of the Seder, eating the offerings and symbolic sacrifices, while singing praise for our redemption and freedom. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. We drink the second cup. And if we were drinking the whole cup, we would be refilling it. And now we come to the symbols of Passover. Stand Moses up again.
Yeah, these guys are very well behaved.
Little Israelite. So, one of Judaism's great scholars, Rabbi Gamaliel, decreed that the Seder is not complete unless we explain the meaning of the three main symbols, the Pesach, the Matzah, and the Maror. So, we've got a lamb shank here on our Seder plate. Okay. And the point of this roasted bone, this bone represents the mighty arm of God that convinced the Egyptians to free the slaves. It also represents the paschal lamb that was used as a special sacrifice in the days of our ancestors in the temple.
The lamb.
Yeah, the lamb. The Passover lamb. And now the blessing over the bread, the matzah. So we raise the matzah again. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. And now we give each person a piece of matzah. So we're going to use our flatbread.
Yeah,
so that's your flatbread.
Is this reminding you of anything now? Communion?
Yes, that's right. We got bread and we got wine.
Yeah.
So we now take this matzah, for not only is it commanded in the Torah by God, 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, but this matzah also symbolises the unleavened bread our ancestors ate while in the desert, and in their great haste while fleeing Egypt, because they did not have time to allow the dough to rise, and they were forced to bake their dough before it leavened, and eat it in the form of a hard, flat cracker, which we now call matzah. So we eat this matzah now. We're going to do it reclining.
To the left.
To the left. Now, what we can do, we have a blessing over the bitter herbs. What we can do now is we can do our, we don't do our sandwich yet. Okay, yeah, we are doing it, because it says here, the marrow and the carousel. So we take our bread, you use that one.
We combine them, don't we?
Yeah, so have you got horseradish? No.
No.
So what we're doing is we're taking our horseradish, our bitter herbs, our horseradish. You want to dip some in there? We've got our bitter herbs here.
Bitter herbs, yeah.
Oh, I didn't do spoons. And then we have, you can use this. So we're putting our carousel onto here. So now we've got the sweet paste, we've got the bitter herbs, and we've got our horseradish. So we've got the sweet and the sour. And this is called an halal sandwich.
So it's got the bitter and the sweet. It's a bit like life.
That's right, about like life, and it was like their life. Now we eat our halal sandwich. It's fabulous. Having a bit more of this is just fantastic with the sweet.
I love this because it recognises all the good and the bad of life and the way life is.
That's right. The ups and the downs, the heartache and the joy. It's delicious too. If we were having a banquet with you, after we have the ceremonial food, we'll be spreading the table, having a beautiful big dinner with you. But we're going to run straight through this so it doesn't go too long, because we're already up to 43 minutes. So we're now just going to, after we've had our sandwich, we're going to drink our third cup. Okay, and our third cup, I'm going to flip back here, because we haven't made a lot about the cups. The third cup is, I will redeem you with an outstretched arm.
Cup of redemption.
The cup of redemption. And so we've had our bread and everything, we'll have our meal, and after the meal, after supper, he took the cup. We're now taking the cup of redemption after supper, and we are praying, "Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine." And so we're believing here that, we don't know exactly, but we are believing that this is the cup
that
Jesus instituted the Lord's Supper with. The cup of redemption. He's the Redeemer. and he did it within the context of the Passover feast. So we drink our cup of redemption.
Yeah.
And then we refill our cup with the fourth one. And at this time, you see we have our chair here. Moses has fallen over again. Stand him up. We have a chair here, and we have this chair here, and we have this beautiful chalice here because this is Elijah's cup. Okay, Elijah's cup is always a place for Elijah at the table, and his cup is always filled because we're waiting for Elijah to return. And in the Jewish households, the kids go and they open the door to see whether Elijah is there waiting to get in. And if he's not there, then they come back. So somebody goes, someday the prophet... Oh, you're going to go.
I'll go and have a look at the door.
Okay, so Dave's going to do that while I read this. Someday the prophet Elijah will return to the earth and lead the way for an age of peace. In the spirit of Passover, as a celebration of freedom, we welcome Elijah into our home and to our Seder. So someone goes to the door, we welcome him.
Not this year.
Well, it says here, enter Elijah the prophet, may you soon come and issue the great age of peace. But, in Christianity, who do we believe came in the spirit of Elijah? John the Baptist. So we believe that the spirit, John the Baptist has come in the spirit of Elijah. And he made straight paths for the Lord. He prepared a way for the Lord. And that was his function. So it fits in with what the Jews still believe Elijah is coming.
An easy transition to
usher in an age of peace.
Yeah.
And we believe that John the Baptist ushered in that person who is peace. Jesus, who is peace. And now we raise our fourth cup. Have we...
Blessed are you.
Yeah, no. Where have we got our... Where have we got our Afikomen?
Well, that's a bit further on.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
So Moses just wasn't there, so we can move on to the fourth cup. We've got to wait for another year.
Elijah wasn't there.
Elijah
wasn't there. We're moving on to our fourth cup of wine. Raise a glass. We'll say together.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, Creator of the universe,
who creates the fruit of the vine. And we drink it.
Reclining.
And our fourth cup, I will take you to me for a people. And we believe we were included in the people of faith through the death of Jesus and his resurrection. He brought the Gentiles in. So we believe for that. It's traditional in some households to have lots of eggs and dip them into salt water. We don't do that. But at the conclusion of the meal...
Normally we'd have the meal now.
Yeah, we have
we don't be doing
No, we had the meal after the Hallel sandwich.
After Hallel sandwich.
Yeah, so after supper we took the third cup, the cup of redemption.
Yeah.
And then at the end we have dessert, the Afikomen. So we have to find it. So
the kids do.
The kids have to find it. We don't have any kids. I'm going to send Dave off to get it. He's going to find it.
I should know because
he did it. Yeah. So we bring it back. So I haven't had to... Sometimes you have to buy hints if you don't know where it is. Yeah. And sometimes you have to give kids a present. The dessert represents the sweetness of freedom to be enjoyed for the rest of the evening. the symbolism in Christianity of this is that we have our bread in here. It was broken. The middle matzah was broken, and it was hidden, and it was lost. It was in a shroud, really, and it was lost. We believe that Jesus died. He was broken for us. He's the bread from heaven. He was broken for us. He was hidden in a tomb for 3 days, and then he came back. So I think in the Seder meal, we're seeing that the middle matzah, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the middle matzah, the Son, is broken and hidden. So we believe that that after supper he took the bread as well, and again giving you thanks.
Yeah.
You know, so we believe that it was during this feast that Jesus instituted the new covenant in his blood. And you know, all Jews are invited one day to return to Jerusalem, to return to the promised land of Israel and celebrate Passover as their ancestors did. And it's a desire and hope of many Jews that to someday make that journey and make the Seder in Jerusalem. It is that spirit that it is in that spirit that all present together say, have we drunk our fourth cup?
Yes, we have.
Wow, we have. But we say, next year in Jerusalem.
Amen.
Amen.
That's the end of the Passover meal. That's how it finishes.
Yeah.
Next year in Jerusalem.
Next year in Jerusalem.
So,
hope you've enjoyed it. Have fun. And we'll be back tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we'll be here with Good Friday service tomorrow morning. So we'll be sending out a PowerPoint tonight, so that you can follow on with the Good Friday service tomorrow.
Okay, so, and will they just print it out?
So just print it out. Yeah, the PowerPoint. There's not a lot of slides. You can put
you can just
4 on one page.
One page. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.